nationally awarded many times over for her portraits. Tim Booth is he's a UK photographer, and John Willem is a Swiss photographer whose work I've liked. I'm going to go through the principles of the self-portrait, just run through a couple of apps and give you something to try at home. So why do a selfie? Said no teenager ever, but I don't really ever put up much in the way of my own photos online, of pictures of myself. I mean, occasionally I do, but generally most of the time I'm quite uncomfortable with photos of myself, particularly as I get older. And so I prefer not to. But when I go back and look at photos of myself, I sort of force myself to take them because I like to know that I was enjoying having fun in a time or space, the moment, wherever I was, and it places me in that time and space as well. So for me, that gives the selfie a reason for being. I saw this quote today, fancy footsteps of self-awareness, which I thought was rather groovy, but the quote that came along with it, or the explanation that came along with the selfie, allows you to see yourself as others might see you, but it also allows you to show yourself as you wish to be seen as well. So allows you to put on whatever face that you like to the world, where that differs from a portrait where somebody else is in control of how you're looking. Self-portraits are not easy. You can't see yourself until after you've taken the photo for the most part. So you have to do a bit of planning in the setting it up. The setup can be time consuming. Getting the focus right can be difficult. And if you're using a timer mode, you need to second guess the timer mode. One of the photographers that I referred to tonight, these photographers display the principles of the really excellent selfie. One of them is Karen Alsop. She's an international award-winning Melbourne digital artist, and she specialises in portrait art. Some of these are just plain portraits rather than selfies, but they display qualities that are fun to see or fun to try and emulate in a selfie. This is a work that she did recently for the KL portrait self-isolation competition that's still onward going, I think. And she just managed to relax and let herself loose and see herself through a couple of different screens and different avenues. She also ran herself through the printer as well. I can't see. Can I see the rest of the class anywhere? Am I missing something?
You can change the speaker view up on the top right.
I've lost it altogether. Sorry, I've lost all the class. I've lost everybody. Let me see if I can just get.
If you click on gallery view, you'll see everyone.
Yeah. I don't know why it's all gone back to the meeting. I don't know why I'm hiding. It's gone weird. Gallery view. I can't see any gallery view. Don't know why it's logged me out altogether.
If you click on view options, Robin, you should be able to
No, I've got, it tells me I've logged right out. I can hear everybody. Meetings. Oh, wait a minute. What? Join a room. Show meeting.
Go back to the screen where you were.
Well, it logged me right out. Okay.
Go into this.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's all weird.
That's what having too many screens is doing for you.
My personal meeting, but I can still hear everybody.
Yeah, we can see.
You can see me?
We can see you, and we can see your screen, Robin.
Okay. Okay. Well, I might. I don't know. Okay. Okay. So I'll just continue on. But anybody, please feel free to interrupt me or just make some chatter if you want. So this was another entrant of hers in the KL selfie portrait competition. She managed I think the ultimate self-portrait, really.
Yeah, I love it.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Quite a bit of artistry goes into that, but it's a good example of how selfies don't have to be boring. The next artist is a fellow from Switzerland called John Willem, and his webpage goes by John Willem is a photoholic. I like this picture of him because it shows he's clearly done the selfie, but he's put all his photographic equipment into the picture as well, and laid them all down around him and just made a little mat out of it.
Yes, it's like a model, like the old, when you made models of planes.
You break the
You
bits
pull those
off.
parts off and glue
Yeah.
them together.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so cool.
that's right. What did we used to get in those models? Like a Lego set or something, wasn't it?
Airfix.
Yeah, it used to be aeroplane
glue? Yeah.
kits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So he largely photographs his children. So he's not doing a lot of self-portraits, but but what he does here is he displays one of the principles of self-portraits, and that's to portray emotion in your portrait as well. So this is one of his kids that he sets all these. He's got 3 daughters and a little son, and he sets them all up in really compromising situations.
There's a lot of other images, don't you, of snow?
Sorry?
Have you got your view options, darling? At the top. Click on.
No, I can't get into it.
Oh.
That's yeah. I tried all that. There's something funny going on. It says I'm screen sharing.
Are you on mute?
I'm not on mute, am I?
No, no.
Can
you're
you hear
fine.
me?
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'll just keep going. Sorry. I'd like to be able to put the full screen up for you.
Hey, Robin, just
Yeah.
in the top left-hand corner where you've got view, just come down across there. Click on that. What is that? Show slide only.
There we go.
Okay, that's probably.
Is that better for
Robin,
you?
why don't you hit format up the top and get rid of the format on the right hand side too?
What happens if you close that right hand one?
There.
Yeah, that's better.
Is that better? That's a
Yeah.
better view.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. I'm too loath to click to click play
Don't
again.
play. Don't click play.
That's the one that gets rid of everybody. Like it's got rid of the whole classroom. I can hear you, but I can't see you, and I can't see a window open for you on my windows anywhere. So something
Hey,
dodgy.
hey Robin, see you've got the zoom next to the view. Try going 200. Too much. Come back 150. Down a bit
150 is almost doing it, isn't it?
more. Yeah, down a little bit more.
Click to slide.
125.
125. There we go.
That'll do.
That could be
Perfect.
better. Okay.
That's good. Well
Okay,
done.
now, is it going to... But... no.
Oh, no. That's 10.
I know, it doesn't let me.
Come on,
Now it's back.
Try using page down, that might work.
Use the right hand arrow at the bottom right.
Yeah. I'm using the right-hand arrow. That's just clicking on it.
It's perfectly fine, Robin.
I know, but I can't with that view.
Okay, use your arrow key on your keyboard. See if
I
that
am
works.
using the arrow keys. I know
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
doing with that. It's just not doing it. So, I'm
So
not,
try the page
Oh,
up,
there you are.
page down.
Okay, that'll do.
yeah, let's go back to where we were, okay?
All
Because
right.
that bit's
Yeah,
not
that's
working.
good. That's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
That's actually
I'm
better.
not quite the dunderhead that I'm sounding like. It's just not working across one of those screens. Anyway, so that's John Willem's one of his child. So he uses, so in the selfie, portray emotion. And this just that you dress the part as well too. So to add a bit more influence to your picture. This little picture is these 3 girls of his. They've got a younger brother who's a bit of a pest, and she sucked him up in the vacuum cleaner and left his shoes and his dolly behind, and that's all there is. So love it.
Yeah.
And the other picture that I chose of his was to be an actor as well in your own selfie. Play a part as well. and engage in it. So I love her little chipmunk teeth there.
So cool.
So does a selfie always need a face? The APS definition of a portrait is that a portrait is a photograph of a person or persons that may range from a head study to a full body length. Includes candid photographs of formal portraits, doesn't say specifically a face. And creative or experimental photos display a novel effect because of unusual combinations of objects. Photographs can be modified and they can use experimental techniques. Okay, it must always have a basic photographic image. So if you put those two together, that gives us the definition for our own purposes of a creative portrait.
What about the Alfred Cotton one where she spat on a bit of film?
Yeah.
She spat on a bit of film.
Yeah. Her grandmother spat on a bit of film, and that was a portrait of her grandmother.
Oh my God. Well,
No, she won Olive Cotton Award.
She won. Well, that probably leads into my next, that's right. My next artist is Tim Booth, who tells us that hands will tell a more honest story about what a person has been through than a face. So he's a portrait photographer from the UK. And if you look at his work online, he does a lot of hands, okay, because he thinks they display a window to the soul much more than a face does. But I think it's quite tricky, really, keeping your face out of it, because the aim of the selfie is to tell a story, and the aim of a portrait is to reveal some part of your character. So if you were going to use something that's not involving your face as well, then it needs to have quite a strong story attached to it. This last picture is his as well. However, eyes always hold all the emotion for portraits. So for simple and strong, it's always worth focusing on the eyes. Yeah. So to build a self-portrait, the background is key. I've got to discover or decide whether it's a distraction or not. A wide lens will keep your background in focus, and thereby being a main part of the image from f8 to f11. A portrait lens will allow you to blur the background from f8 to a wide open lens as well, and that will influence your portrait image. Consider your environment for impacts, whether that's going to add to the story, whether that's going to add to the emotion of the picture. With your self-portrait, if you want your photos to be boring, then look bored. If you want to add, a little bit of action, then you really need to engage and be bold to take part in the photographic process. Good lighting, of course, is a key for bringing a picture to life. Check for your time of day and position yourself for rim lighting. This is just using very late afternoon light and to your advantage, just to light up the back of the head. It's simple but effective, but fairly crucial to bringing the photo to life.
And it looks like Kahlua and milk also assist.
Oh, it was Bailey's. It was Bailey's, and Tim and Roger Wood had gone out to shoot the sunset, but I'd taken one look at the potential sunset and said, no, I'm not leaving the house. This is down in Stanley in Tasmania, and I said, no, I think I'm just going to sit on the veranda and drink Bailey's. So they trotted around aimlessly looking for clouds. And yeah. And so I got some lovely afternoon light there. One of my other favorite artists is a Russian lady called Elena Shumilova. She traditionally uses 2 light sources in all of her photos as well. She's very strong on the story, and that's her key to connecting with people in the photos as well. But this is her, she would nearly always put, one light source and then a second light source in all of her shots as well. So she sets something up in the background and then she gets a light source to come onto the face of the people.
Really beautiful.
Really beautiful work. Yeah, she does. She goes to a lot of effort to set up scenes. She travels the world doing multiple workshops each year, with sold out workshops right across the world, and just sources local people there
You can just really
to
feel
set up.
the moment, can't you?
Oh, it's gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah. But look how simply she's done it. She's just put like little candles in the background there. And then she's got, she's probably got that little girl next door window, I would imagine. So she's got the light on her face and the light on the bunny's face as well, with the other light in the background.
Did you do a workshop with her, Robin?
I did.
Yes.
I did.
And,
Yeah.
and Roger did.
And Roger did as well. Yeah. We booked a year ahead. She came out to Australia and she had booked 2 workshops in Adelaide for like 5 people each, and they sold out in 2 seconds flat. So there was a bit of an outcry, and so she ended up putting on 3 other workshops and came to Sydney for one of them. So we just jumped in there quick smart. Waited quite a long time for it, and it was a 2-day workshop, and I learnt lots from it. You know, lots from her energy and from the things that she put together, and the way that she shot as well. So she used a lot of, this little girl's got flower in this shot, and she uses a lot of that with the natural light, because it just creates a beautiful, you know, natural atmospheric touch. And the kids, of course, you know, you put the kid, a 3-year-old girl there on a table with a bunny and some flour, and she just says, start playing. And, you know, it's easy pickings. But I put these in here because I think they've got some nice techniques for a self-portrait as well, you know, to give you an idea of what to do. We won't find this in Australia at the moment, but it's the same sort of deal.
Beg your pardon, it's snow up in the Alps.
Oh, there you go. Off you go then, Peter. Get your little grandson out in the lab.
I've got other ideas. Think Picasso.
Well, this is so this is just lovely soft light, and it's simple. The story is simple, and the lighting is simple and very effective. So moving back onto the selfie with some of the principles, base your composition around everyday elements that mean something to you. Is a good way of making your selfie meaningful. So if you've got a man that, you know, loves his chips and a glass of wine at sunset in Tuscany overlooking the valley, then that picture, you know, will hold well for quite some time. There's the silhouette selfie to use. Take advantage of the situation you're in. Take advantage of the light that you're in. This, of course, I took this in Vestrahorn in Iceland, and I thought I was going to take the lovely beach scene, and I was a bit fixated on the people down in the front of the photo who had their tripods in the shifting sands for whatever reason, I don't know, but, you know, they couldn't get a stable picture. And then I realized that I had this amazing shadow off to the right. So that ended up being the subject of the photo. There's a choice to be reflective. There's these types of self-portraits come with the added bonus that you can photograph yourself from behind the camera, so you don't have to deal with triggering and focusing. It also is a faceless selfie as well, but also displays, you know, some of your personality and your character. If I were to go a little bit light-hearted, to take the easy route, you know, it's we all have a lot of apps in, you know, Facebook or Messenger or paid apps as well. So, you know, don't be frightened to take photos and just have fun with the whole selfie thing. Treat yourself like you'd treat a friend as well, you know, in your selfies. Take time to set it up and use the best resources at your disposal. So the next artist that I want to talk about is an American lady called Brooke Shaden, who is utilized by the Adobe creative people quite a bit. She's a young girl that's got quite a large following. She's got a lot of issues, quite a few mental health issues, and she has a lot of high-low days. She has a few issues in her life, and so she engages in those high-low mental health days and seeks to use them for her creative self. This picture on the right, she took it home. She set it up in her bath at home. She literally filled up the bath with water as far as it go, put herself in the bath, and then painted in the background, which is, and there's a selfie, which was something I never, ever would have thought of doing. But anyway, and this is Brooke as well. Okay, so she's put in the background and she's taken multiple images here, which is going to lead on to a technique that I thought we could have a play with tonight, called creative layering, which is where you can take the self-portrait and you can put many shots but come out with one picture. To do this creative layering, we need a choice of camera, we need a good lens choice, a stable tripod, knowledge of Photoshop, and a basic knowledge of layers. I took this shot in Lake Tyrrell in Victoria, and at dawn, and just used the dawn light because there wasn't much other light around, and gave me quite nice silhouettes. In the creative layering technique, it's crucial to get stable shots. Otherwise, I couldn't blend these seats through the 9 layers. When I came to blend this shot of 9 different layers, if any of the seats, if the camera or the tripod had moved at all, I wouldn't have been able to blend the seats in properly because they were too tightly compacted and too close together. So setting up your workspace is probably the most crucial part of this little technique.
Keep the background consistent.
To keep the background consistent.
And then move the things inside the background.
I don't know what Tim's saying there.
Just mute him, Robin.
I know. Did he come on? Could you hear him? He's supposed to be not talking. Anyway, so I've got a couple of little videos for you to play. Hopefully they're all going to play. So plan out your scene, prepare your workspace, and think about where you're going to set up ahead of time. It's always good, just simple planning. So I decided to just use the backyard because that was all that I had. The basic premise of setting up is to check that your tripod head is very firm. Any movement's going to affect the photo. Have a self timer on. I set the self timer for 5 to 10 seconds. I checked for even light if you're shooting outside, and set your camera settings to suit your particular environment. I've just got a little video of me of the overview of the workflow here.
Sound. I think you've got sound playing on video.
It's not smooth either. It's a bit jerky.
Yeah, but that would be about streaming, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not playing sound.
And
You might have to explain it, Robin, because there's no sound and it's really jerky.
Sound.
Yeah.
There's no sound. You're not hearing any sound?
No.
are you?
Oh, I can hear the sound perfectly.
Yeah, I think you need to share the sound as well.
Wait.
It'll be in the Zoom settings.
Okay, let me just try and see if I can connect up again.
With the audio settings in Zoom, I think you can
Yeah.
you can change the source of the audio.
The problem is,
Go back to
okay. Let's wait, see if you can find my meeting.
This one.
Hey,
Yeah.
Robin, if you
Go back to
unplug
home.
your headphones, it'll work.
Top, home. Okay, up here.
There.
Yep, settings, audio. Right, you got some choices here.
Oh. Output level. Can you hear that?
No.
So the speaker. So what options you got here? Click on this.
What?
Hey,
that?
Robin, if you've got headphones on, it won't work.
Oh, I have got headphones on.
Well, unplug.
How's that?
That's good.
Is that good? Okay. I've taken out the headphones. Okay.
I'm also going to experiment at the end with throwing a bucket of the leaves. And because it's a selfie, I have to do that myself and Tim can't help me. So we'll see how we go getting that presented.
Do you want me to repeat that again?
No.
The other shots you've seen, there's like 4 or 5 people, one person in the shot. This time I'm just going to use 3 or 4 bands. We'll see how we go when we get back to Photoshop afterwards.
Is it playback video level, speed level?
Does it what? Sorry, Simon?
Is it this playback speed level of the video? Can you control it?
No, I've just pulled that into.
Keep going because the next one shows what you do.
Okay, so well, I'll just
I'll
keep
just
going.
talk
I think for the moment. Okay.
Or talk over it?
Yeah. Okay. Basically the premise of the setup was to check that I had all elements in the viewfinder and that included all the moving ones. Okay. I set up with I chose a 10-second timer and I had a 2-second warning flash in the timer as well. I was throwing the leaves around to make sure that that they would fit into the viewfinder. So at each point, I am just, when I'm taking the photo, I'm just checking that everything is within the photo and that I'm making the brace with it. I've got a 10-second timer on there. So that was probably the most tricky part, was just trying to see if I fit that in. So the shot, not moving the tripod or the camera between shots and checking that the chair move fits in the frame here is what I'm doing in this next clip. So taking the shoot, that's 2 pictures, there's a 3rd picture, keeping the table central in the middle and taking the shot. And it's really as simple as that. So you set up your environment and you don't move anything within it except yourself in 3 different spots or 4 different spots. You then load the pictures into Lightroom. I selected all the shots that I wanted to use. I did my basic edits on 1 picture in Lightroom, and then I synced the edits in Lightroom so that they were all going to come out basically the same. I highlighted the already edited photo and highlighted the photos to be edited, synced them, and then after the edits were applied, I opened them as layers in Photoshop. When you load them as layers into Photoshop, Photoshop will take a little while. It'll take a couple of minutes just to load them all up as once as raws. I think I've loaded a few more extra shots in here than I used. I think I ended up using 4 shots in the final photo. So I just took these couple in and then chucked out the ones that I didn't want to use. So to start it, just turn off the layers first, except for your base. And this is very basic masking. Turn on the second picture and put a mask on there. Flip the mask to conceal it, making sure that bottom left reveals you when you brush it in with a soft brush at 100%. I didn't feel the need to use any brush any less than 100%, and I just brushed it in. So that's the second picture there. I repeated for the third and the subsequent layers. I blended in with a smaller soft brush, and you just got to watch for a little bit of overlapping as well between the layers. You had to, when I had the feet down there, down the bottom, I had to make sure that that I was getting some sort of reasonable blend happening in there. So I left out my foot there, left that foot in, and left out that foot there.
Chairs going through the chest.
That was a whole other opacity issue that I talked about before. So applying the fourth layer with the throwing up of the leaves behind, I blended it quite tightly, and I put in quite a sharper edge brush around the shoulders just to get some definition in between the shoulders as well, get a little bit of action happening there. And that was about as difficult as it gets with the blending. I had the spare set of flying leaves. I brushed in the last set of flying leaves, just making sure, particularly around the head and whatever here, that that I still wasn't overlapping onto the head and cutting into that first figure. So then I merged all the layers up, applied a global edit, and saved it. And that was my final picture.
Ooh. Good fun.
So
I like it.
yeah,
Excellent.
You can do really anything with it, you know, like you could have had the family dog 4 times over really if you wanted to, you know, but it's sort of easier to have a bit of control of yourself, particularly as it's a self-portrait as well. But it looks quite complicated, but the technique is actually quite easy. So that ends my rather shocking presentation, and I rather wish that I could see full screen, but I'm sorry about that. But I've got three screens here, and there's just too much going on, so I thought just keep it simple. But just to end it though, with the self-portrait, really the story is always stronger than the technique. Technique is key, is everything, but if you don't have a story with it, then you're going to end up with a boring photo. So the story should always come first, and if the technique is a little bit lacking, often that will hold the viewer's gaze a little bit longer. So thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Very good, Robin. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Robin. Terrific.
Yeah. Robin, could you go back to that screen with the Russian lady's name? I just want to take a photo of it.
Yes, sure.
Elena Sumanova.
Sumanova. Yes, she is. Where is she? Here she is here.
Aren't they beautiful photos?
She's got a very big Instagram following. So if you look her up on Instagram, you'll see workshops of hers all over the world.
And does she come to Australia each time?
She does. She came to Australia 3 years ago. She hasn't been out since then.
She won't be out for a while.
Got too popular. She's a mum of 2 little boys, and I think she got very popular very quickly and was travelling the world for a couple of years, and then I think she must have found that little bit of hard work. So
aren't they the most beautiful photos?
Oh, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. You could just keep looking at them day after day. And this model that she uses, you know, she loves men with the, you know, the long flowing white beards and things as well.
So where does Picasso's cubism fit